It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Thursday? We do, you do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, heading towards a great sports weekend. It's the opening day of the baseball season, and we welcome you to our Thursday podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, baseball fanatic with his opinions from left field, John Riley, and we welcome you. Lots to cover on a very busy Thursday. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they've got materials, you want ideas, they can be your best friend. They will help you at DIXIELINE Lumber. John Riley, I love opening day in Major League Baseball. I love the history of opening day in Major League Baseball. Everybody's excited because everybody starts even Steven opening day of baseball. Play ball.
If I were president of the United States, this would be a national holiday.
Well, it is for those of us who grew up in the game, love the game, follow the game, cover the game, and for John Q, fan at the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you write your columns more like poetry talking about baseball. So I just love all the Americana, the history, the red, white, and blue bunting. This is a great time of the year.
It really is. We're going to go a lot of different directions on this Thursday podcast, and we move the start time to coincide with the Padres opening day game against the Detroit Tigers. So we're going to be here for the next hour plus. Just a reminder, when we're done with this podcast, you're going to throw high hard ones. You're going to bat leadoff, looking for a baseball fan to join us in the Fans Forum chat box. And John, just explain to everybody on the live stream how Fans Forum works and how they can be with us on opening day.
Opening day, here's your chance to get involved. So you have a question or comment in the world of sports, drop your hot take in the live chat on YouTube, Facebook, or X. We'll see it up here on our screen. We'll get you involved in Fans Forum when at the conclusion of Hacksaw's Headlines.
Invoking my favorite baseball term, bring the heat, meat. So we want you to be part of the podcast after all the topics on the table have been discussed. Couple of other items. I write about sports every day of the week on my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. It's absolutely free. Just dial it up. Take a look. Best 15 minutes in sports. Every story there is at this hour. Read my one man's opinion column that I wrote today. My baseball predictions for each of the pennant races. And by the way, you can join Hacksaw's Insiders group once you go to the homepage on the website. That will allow you to get on the email list. That will allow you to get 2 newsletters a day. John and I put out 2 sports newsletters, one in the morning, one in the late afternoon. That's in your inbox. That is absolutely free. So we want you to join us because we do sports talk the way it should be done. Ton of topics on the table, and then we let you participate. Sample my website. I think you'll really like it. Are you ready for some baseball? Topic 1, John, opening day.
Topic 1, opening day. Let's do a breakdown of what happened today at Petco Park, Padres-Tigers.
So that's what a Cy Young Award winner looks like.
Yes.
So that's what a Rookie of the Year candidate looks like. So that's what happens when the air comes out of the balloon in the top of the first inning. Detroit Tigers score 4 in the first off Nick Pivetta, go on, knock him out through 3 innings, march on, finish with an 8-2 victory on opening day at Petco Park. They took the air out of the balloon in the first inning. Tarek Skubal, 14 guys retired in a row during the course of that game. He was unbelievable. Hot, young power hitter Kevin McGonigal, first game in baseball in the majors, first pitch, 2-run hit. First day, 4 base hits for Kevin McGonigal, Rookie of the Year candidate. That was really impressive. Dallas Dingle had a 2-run home run and an RBI single. Really tough day for Nick Pivetta. My reading, he was really overamped. He could not locate his fastball. First inning, walked 3 guys, gave up a couple of hits. Pitch count was 33 in the opening inning. They had to go get him after 3 innings. He wound up going 3 innings, 6 runs, 7 hits, the 3 walks, Just a tough day for Pivetta. I just think he was so fired up, it was out of control. There were some guys who pitched pretty well for the Padres, led by Brad Rodriguez, the youngster, struck out 3 guys in 2 innings. He did a really good job. Padres did not really hit. Massive debate. Who's my leadoff hitter? And after going round and round during the course of the Cactus League with taking Fernando Tatis out of the top spot, putting Cronenworth into the number 1 spot, Jake had himself a really good spring. Opening day, Tatis was back in the number 1 spot, and Cronenworth was batting 9th because they're trying to create some different type things. But that's a storyline that's in play. We know Detroit was good. Detroit gave you some really impressive first impressions opening day of baseball. And now the Padres are going to turn to Michael King, game 2. Detroit's going with their second big arm, Framber Valdez. Don't want to start 0-2 on the season, but Michael King has been a 3-inning pitcher during the course of spring training. So only counts as 1 loss. I thought Pivetta was way overamped, and the Padre bats, and they didn't hit very well, very consistently in the spring. Padre bats against Skubal, they were rather silent. But that's what a Cy Young Award starter looks like, and that's what a Rookie of the Year candidate looks like too. So, John, you're a big baseball fan. I'm not saying I'm heartbroken. It did take the air out of the balloon, though, in the first inning. Go ahead.
You remember that it was about 10, maybe 12 years ago, the Padres ended up getting shut out 3 games in a row to the Dodgers to open the season.
Andy Green's first day as manager was a 15-0 defeat.
And didn't they lose the next game, something like 13-0?
And then they got killed in the 3rd game.
Yeah. I mean, so it was just such a downer of a game. There was no, I mean, everything that led up to the ball game was fantastic.
Yep.
But like, for example, I'll tell you what, one thing that I love is I love opening day when they make the announcements of the players, and they come out with the fireworks and the high fives. And it is even fun on opening day because we get to see like the athletic trainers and the speech, translators and the massage therapists. You get the whole team up there. Yeah. It was kind of fun. But anyways, as far as the game goes, Pivetta was jacked. I mean, they were showing him in the bullpen when they were doing the intros. You could see that he was just like the veins were popping.
Hyper.
Yeah, and that curveball was all over the place to start the game. That wasn't good. Xander hit the ball pretty well today, I thought. And so, but the only thing is like, why in the hell, if you're going against Skubal, okay, why is Castellanos not hitting and starting at first base and rather than Gavin Sheets?
Or as DH in place of Andujar?
Well, Andujar is a right-handed bat that hits left-handers really well. That's his bag. So, Andujar starting. Excuse me. We should say Andujar. Andujar. He was not that big of a reach. It's who I expected to be in that spot. But Gavin Sheets, I think, should have been not a starter today. And I think you could even make an argument about should Jackson Merrill, I mean, even a lefty on lefty matchup, should he even be batting cleanup? I mean, this is a chance to sort of stack your lineup the other way. Where maybe do you think? Craig Stammen felt like Sheets deserved it.
He finished up the Cactus League strong. I still think you have to play your starters and play your stars.
Yeah.
I wasn't upside down about the lineup, and they'll experiment and they'll move some people around here. They were facing a dominant pitcher in the American League.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we found out what he's all about for sure. And then, they've got Framber Valdez going for the next game. I mean, this is a tough series to start off the year. But I'll tell you what, everything about opening day is great. It just was a down game. And especially for me, I'm also a Giants fan. I had a really down experience last night watching that game on Netflix. And now the Padre game, both disappointing openers.
Yeah, a couple of other items. How cool was it for them to line up both teams on the first and third base lines? And the moment of silence and the salute to Randy Jones.
Oh,
and then you saw the patch, the 35 patch on the shoulder. That was so classy. That was so cool. And the old left-hander up there, he probably wasn't feeling very good about opening day either.
Well, then his wife and kids were out there throwing the first pitch too. So, it was a Randy Jones day at the ballpark.
Yep. I'm going to give a sidebar comment. Talk about all things Padres. And Padres baseball is festive, the ballpark, the broadcast. Don and Mud back. That's fun. Some people love them. Some people have problems with some of the content, etc. The only thing that disappoints me is I'm sitting here during the course of this game, And it wasn't just a byproduct that the game got out of hand so quick, but you've got your two great broadcasters who are as popular as anybody around Major League Baseball. And you got Mike Pomerantz, who's your lead pre- and post-game anchor. And you got Mary Lou, who's a sideline reporter. And you got the very popular Bob Scanlon. Why do you not interject them into this broadcast more? It's opening day. There's so many storylines you can be talking about on opening day. Not just the Padres, or not just the Padres farm system, but the other teams. Yankees open, Dodgers open, ABS, balls and strikes. Obviously, the potential of lockout. There's so many other topics on the table. And by the way, there are 11 games on today's opening day schedule. Somebody should be doing scoreboard insertions every third inning during the broadcast. You have all these people at Petco Park representing the Padre TV broadcast crew, and you don't use any of them for all the ancillary information and data that's out there. Am I right or am I right?
I love it when you break down the broadcast crew.
Well, who else are you going to ask?
But you're perfect to do that critique. Now, first of all, everybody loves Don and Mud.
Sure.
You said some people sometimes have a problem with what they say. No one has a problem with Don and Mud. And I think that's part of the thing is when you break away to Pomerantz or Scanlon or Mary Lou's, they're all great people, but they're not Don and Mud. And so more Don and Mud is what people want.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Don and Mud over 9 innings and 27 outs.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, though. When I go out of town, I enjoy listening to the radio and watching on television different broadcast teams. We are spoiled here in San Diego. Yeah. I mean, we just have a great crew. So they're all good. Yeah, you like to see the other guys get involved. I saw Scanlon out there with Pomerantz in the pregame show, and they were interviewing Mason Miller. And Scanlon is so tall. I mean, that guy is unbelievable.
All 6'9" of him.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, but they're all great folks. They do good work there.
But there's storylines out there. You got 3 people who not on the radio and TV booth use those 3 people to tell angles to the stories outside of just this Padre game as Scuba was blowing your way.
Well, they need that. They also need a proper pregame, postgame package, which I really appreciated when it was Fox Sports and when it was Bally. But yeah, during the game, it'd be nice to work them in. I do you like the interviews when they interview players like in the dugout or interviewing the manager? I mean, Scanlon did that. He was interviewing Stammen like after the second or third inning.
Yeah, but that was rather vanilla.
It was, but at least it's something,
Yeah, but you had 11 games out there. You got upsets, blowouts. Guys got hurt today. There's 3 people at that stadium sitting on press row that can be putting all that data together, and you go to them.
See, this is you. You want the full spectrum of the world of sports. That's Hacksaw style.
Damn right.
Okay.
But I give those guys a letter grade of A because I love the broadcast. I think it's quality, but give me more non-Padre content because there's a lot of non-Padre content that's out there that these baseball guys could be talking about in addition to the ballgame.
Bring back Mark Sweeney, the Sweeney dog.
He's working in St. Louis, I think, or Milwaukee.
Yeah.
But anyhow, agree or disagree? You're a Padre fan. What'd you think about opening day? Pivetta looked way too hyper.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's a hell of a pitcher Detroit's got. And that's one of the storylines, too. They're going to keep him. They're going to sign him. They're going to trade him at the deadline. So a lot of baseball out there to start. Fans Forum chat box is open for business. And we had other games and other baseball stories to talk about. But it is opening day in Major League Baseball, and it is time for our baseball preview because we're going to talk about the pennant races. John and I are going to go division by division, just tell you what we think, and then you can jump on board in the Fans Forum and respond to. Where do you want to start?
Well, they always start in this order, which is kind of my pet peeve. But let's go here to the AL, and we'll start with the AL East.
Who's going to win the American League East? I will give you bullet points. Then the guy with his opinions from left field is going to respond. Yankees are going to win the division. This storyline is not how many home runs Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton is going to hit, but when will Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon be ready to rejoin the rotation to go with the guy that could be their ace in Max Fried? This is a really good Yankee team, despite the fact they did virtually nothing to add on. Now, if something catastrophic happens to Judge, or Stanton can't stay healthy, or Anthony Volpe can't stay healthy, then suddenly the Yankees are not the offensive structured team we thought, but I got the Yankees winning the East. Up at Fenway Park in the state of New England, they are quietly excited about all things Red Sox baseball. They upgraded the pitching staff. They started with Garrett Crochet in that trade a year ago. Then they added Ranger Suarez, who came from the Phillies. And they've got really a cross-section of really good young ball players led by Roman Anthony, superstar on the making, and Jarren Duran. I got Boston finishing second, and I think they're going to chase the Yankees. Toronto. Now they add Dylan Cease. Could be hot, could be cold. They add the Korean free agent Carlos Ponce. I don't know how good he's going to be at this level. We're going to find out. And they added the Japanese power hitter Kaz Okamoto. Of course, they said goodbye to Bo Bichette, but they got Vlad Guerrero, and they got all those firebrands that got them to the World Series last season. I guess the burning question, they do have age in their rotation, and what kind of pitcher is Cease going to be? I'm not going to say last year was a fluke, but I wonder if they can repeat what they did last season. Baltimore, they have added lots of home runs. Pete Alonso, Taylor Ward. But the age-old question, do you have enough arms? I'm not sure that Baltimore does. I get them fourth in the American League East. Tampa Bay, low budget, keep trading all their players away before free agency comes, still holding their breath as to whether Shane McClanahan comes back to be the ace of the staff because of all his physical woes. Nothing ever changes in Tampa because that's how they operate the team, except there's a new roof at Tropicana Field. So that's my theory on the American League East. Bronx Bombers to win. Reaction?
Yeah, the Yankees looked good last night against the Giants. I was thinking about Trent Grisham. Remember when the Padres traded him? He was sort of like a throw-in. He's turned into a hell of a player.
Yeah, he was a 218 hitter who could steal and go chase balls in the outfield and occasionally pop one, but no consistency. He's become a better hitter. He's showing more consistency now like he used to show when he was an old Milwaukee Brewer.
Yeah. So, good on him for reviving his career, but I don't know how you can go against the team that went to the World Series. I got the Blue Jays in this, and I've always thought that Dylan Cease was such a stud. Even when he was with the White Sox, he just looked like he had sturdy shoulders, and he had that whip arm, and he was just an indestructible force. So if the Blue Jays could figure him out, I know the last few stops for him, he's not been all that he can be. But if he could be that, and you add this Japanese power hitter, that's an interesting team. So I'm all in on the Blue Jays. But yeah, the Yankees will be competitive. You'd love to see Alonso have a nice, bounce, a bounce over to Baltimore and perform over there. And the other teams, the Rays, you can't really expect anything there.
Okay, that's the American League East. You're an American League fan. You're a Yankee fan. You're invited to jump on board Fans Forum. Let's go to the Central. We just got a flash of what the first-place team in the Central Division looks like. That's Tarek Skubal. Yeah, now you add Framber Valdez. And by the way, they still have the old dog Justin Verlander, who pitched really well the second half of the season last year when he recovered from his injuries. And they got Kenley Jansen. And now McGonigal, Rookie of the Year candidate, plus all the other bats they've got in the lineup. This is a pretty good team. Only glitch, I think, in Detroit. Do they have enough in the bullpen? Second place team, I got Kansas City. Possible breakout year. Now they've rented a bunch of free agents to put around their vested veterans led by Bobby Witt and Sal Perez. This kid, Jock Caglianon, he looks really good, but he's not hit over the course of a whole season. He's got that future ahead of them. Vinny Pasquantino's really grown into be a very good first baseman. I got Kansas City finishing second. In Cleveland, the star stays. Jose Ramirez with another contract extension. The rest of the roster, a bunch of slap hitters. Big issue, bunch of injuries, pitching. The biggest issue is the ownership has turned the Cleveland franchise into small market America. And I think that's a shame because I think that could be a great regional franchise. I got the Cleveland Guardians, a.k.a. my Indians, finishing third. Minnesota, this is what a fire sale looks like when you have owners that don't hold up their end of the deal. The Twins just got rid of virtually everybody. Outside of Joe Ryan and maybe the young arm Mick Abel and Byron Buxton, I just don't think Minnesota's got enough. And the White Sox, when you try to climb out of that hole, it takes a long, long time. They got a really young team. They've stockpiled a ton of players. They did add the Japanese slugger Muntaka Murakami, And the young catcher, Kyle Teal, though he's hurt right now, I don't know if the Sox have enough pitching. So I got the Tigers running away with the division, but I'm intrigued to see if Kansas City has now added enough to really make a difference.
Yeah, the Tigers look really good today. And what was the rookie's name that went 4 for 4? Was it
McGonigal?
McGonigal. But he was like the number 2 rated prospect or something like that. So he had a great debut. That team looks a lot better. When you look at them, when they announced the starting lineups, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of that guy, Torkelson, but
how much of those guys are first-round draft picks that have all kind of gotten there in the last 2+ years?
Yeah, like Riley Green, I know, is one of them as well. And then, but you look at this whole division, and it's just like a bunch of it's just a lot of vanilla gray.
Well, you got 3 franchises operating like small market America.
Yeah, this is just such an uninteresting division. And by the way, remember when Javi Baez came up? I mean, he was like Mr. Everything with the Cubs. He signed that gigantic contract with the Tigers. Now he's batting 9th. I mean, wasn't he supposed to be a good hitter?
A lot of injuries.
Okay.
Very early in his career, yes, but he's just been really dinged up. Shoulder problems more than anything else. That's a look-see at the American League Central. Feel free. Fans Forum chat box is open if you have an opinion. Let's go to the American League West. I think it's their time. Talking Mariners. I think it's their time to go deep into postseason play. 6 starting pitchers, collection group of closers, a lot of bats. Who are you going to pitch around on Seattle's batting order, especially up there at that ballpark? Raleigh, J-Rod, Naylor, Arozarena. I think it's going to be a fun summer in the Pacific Northwest. And I think Seattle is about to arrive as a complete team because they really do have a lot of good young pitching. Houston, I'm going to be interested to watch this. Houston, Japanese pitching phenom, Tatsuya Imai. We talked about him in free agency. They did not really expose him much in the Cactus League. He's pitched in more against minor league teams and has totally dominated. Now, he's not a kid because I think he's 29, but he's going to join Hunter Brown at the front end of that rotation. But that staff continues to be stung by an awful lot of injuries there. And how much gas in the tank does Altuve, does Correa, does Yordan Alvarez have left? I don't know that it's a complete baseball team, but I'm going to be watching this Japanese pitcher who's going to start, I think, in the second series that the Astros play. I got Texas faltering. Texas goes to 3rd place in the West. They got Mackenzie Gore. Now, he joins Jake DeGrom and Nathan Eovaldi. Both those veterans have fought back from arm problems. DeGrom was really good the back half of last season, but do they have enough on the mound? Everyday lineup, Wyatt Langford looks like he's a star in the making. You got Corey Seager, but he needs to stay on the field. Is there enough in that Texas batting order? Because they got rid of Marcus Semien in the offseason. The most intriguing team to me, maybe in the entire American League, are the Athletics. Dangerous team. Arrow pointed up. They got a bunch of free swingers who can hit the hell out of the ball. I mean, if I mention Kurtz, Soderstrom, Rooker, Jake Wilson, Shea Langelier, Lawrence Butler, and they add Jeff McNeil, that's not a bad batting order. Now, the flip side, an awful lot of young pitching. But, boy, they've put some bats together. And this is all by design by the time they open that ballpark a year from now in Las Vegas. And in last place, 99 losses one season, 90 losses last season. I just don't see it get any better for the Angels. And they've not had much of an offseason. To me, they got holes everywhere on their roster. And who knows if Mike Trout can be vintage Mike Trout ever again. And I'll tell you what, home games at the Big A, this could be really ugly because I just got a sense fans are going to show up and they're going to bring signs and they're going to chant, Artie, sell the team. I think it's really going to be ugly in Anaheim. So, John, Seattle's time. What do you think about the West?
Yeah, all kinds of good vibes with the Mariners, and they, this is a team that I think is ready for America to embrace the Mariners because they're like the Padres. They haven't won a World Series in like ever, so it'd be great if they made a run. The A's are just such a fun story. And it just goes to show you that if Fisher really wanted to invest in the team when they were in Oakland, He could have done it. He just dragged his feet. And now once they're kind of getting positioned to go to Vegas, now he's got all these stars that are rising up through the ranks. And now, this year they'll be a lot better. And when they eventually move into that stadium in Vegas, they're going to be top of the division probably.
And he's already signed virtually all those young guys to multi-year contract extensions.
Suddenly he's doing all the right things when he was doing the wrong things before, maybe on purpose.
Exactly. And what's your take about Angel Stadium?
Well, you're like leading the charge here for the boo Artie Moreno.
It's already happened. During the Freeway Series, fans booed and fans chanted. I just can't see what the atmosphere is going to be like opening day at home.
Yeah. I mean, and especially with the free agents they signed, there's some good guys that have had track records, some success, all coming back from injury, all have some sort of an asterisk next to their name.
And they're all under DL right now on opening day.
Yeah, it's the same old thing with the Angels. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm an Angel fan, this is just so disappointing. But, did they win today? Did they beat Houston?
They were winning, yes.
Amazing. I mean, so maybe they're going to fool us all.
Okay, that's only one game.
Okay.
Hey, you're a baseball fan. We just previewed the American League. We want your opinion. Fans Forum chat box is open, so fire us some questions. Get it on. Get in line so we can start. We go from that. Let's go across the street. National League.
Okay, we'll go to the National League East. It looks like you've got the Mets.
I'm picking the Mets. This has been a winter of changes. Changes in chemistry, changes on the pitching staff, changes in the team's personality. So long, Polar Bear. Tough to see Pete Alonso not at first base, but they do have Soto. They do have Lindor. They've added on Marcus Semien. Here comes Bo Bichette. And then the trade for Freddie Peralta at a very affordable contract makes a big difference to what is otherwise a fairly young starting rotation. The health of Kodai Senga is going to be huge. And how quickly do all these kids grow into the rotation? Now, they've sent two of them already back to AAA, but they'll be back up. So I just think the Mets are knocking at the door. We'll see whether Soto has a 300-type season with home runs, but I just think there's a lot of positives, even though a lot of changes at Citi Field. Philadelphia, great rotation. They've locked them in for multi-year contract extensions, and now they've just called up their top young arm, Andrew Painter. He's going to be part of the Philadelphia rotation to go with Nola, Sanchez, Luzardo, Walker, and they're waiting on Zach Wheeler, who's coming back and has made progress and will be back maybe within a month's time. Now, the only question I have, do they have enough home run bats? Because Castellanos is gone. Harper's been plagued by injuries. He's not the bopper that he was before, but they still have Schwarber. So Philadelphia is really good, and maybe they're leaning more on their arms than they are on their bats. In Atlanta, they got Ronald Acuna, and that's all they've got. Atlanta's got 3 of their top 5 starters already on the disabled list with significant injuries. This has just been a terrible situation with the health, and there is no Jurickson Pro 4. This is going to turn out to be just a miserable season, I think, with the Atlanta Braves. In Washington, ragtag. Ragtag roster, ragtag pitching, ragtag ownership. Few good young players, obviously, with James Wood, maybe Robert Harrell, obviously C.J. Abrams. But I think it's a lousy situation. This ownership, I just think is terrible. They've betrayed the fans in the district. Last place, Miami. Here they are. They've stockpiled all these young arms, and they get whacked by injuries in the final couple of weeks of spring training. Sandy Alcantara is back at the end of last season. He looked like the pitcher, Cy Young type guy from just 2 years ago before the surgery. But aside of Kyle Stowers and Yui Perez, I don't know that they have enough ball players. And that's the same old situation in Miami. Not spend money, get rid of players. Here we are. You agree or disagree, Mets or Phillies?
Yeah, every year the NL East is usually between Atlanta, Philadelphia, and the Mets, and right now it seems like Philly and Atlanta have taken a step back. Especially the way their season's getting started. And you talk about the Mets adding all those guys. You missed a few. They added Jorge Polanco, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, and Tommy Pham near the deadline here. Yeah. Tommy Pham's on the Mets, so that's going to be a powerful team. And the way they pivoted so quickly when they lost out on Alonso, they reacted and they got a lot of other guys to fill in some spots. So that should be an exciting team. The Phillies, and they lost Ranger Suarez, but you still say that pitching staff is top notch.
No, I think it's very deep. And, we're waiting for Zach Wheeler to get added on there. So that's a really good baseball team. Fascinating to pay attention as we march from spring towards summer. Which of the young arms in the lower minors? Now, McLean is starting. Norman McLean is starting in that rotation up top, but they sent Tong, who was just red hot last year at the end of the season in the minor leagues. They just sent him back to AAA. They've got 3 young arms all collectively arriving at the same time. We'll see if the other 2 arrive to go with McLean, to go with the other starting pitching.
So that's the Mets, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, everywhere you look, it just seems like they've got quality and depth in every position.
And I got Soto.
That might be their downfall.
Okay, that's all things National League East. Any transplanted New Yorkers? Feel free. Join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. National League Central. I think they're ready to rock and roll. I mean, they were very aggressive in the winter. I am talking Chicago Cubs baseball. Interesting offseason. Plug-in pitching acquisitions. The arrival of Alex Bregman. Do you think he fits in Homer-happy Wrigley Field? To go with Swanson, to go with Suzuki. Do they have enough depth in the rotation? I mean, Imanaga is now back totally healthy. They got Cabrera from Miami. I think the Cubs are really, really good. Milwaukee, I mean, they've had back-to-back phenomenal seasons under Pat Murphy, the manager. Can Jacob Mizorowski and Kyle Harrison dominate at the front of the rotation and stay healthy? And they are hoping, their fingers are crossed, that Brandon Woodruff can bounce back, reinvent himself. Or maybe they're just going to bang the hell out of the ball and just hope they have enough pitching. Because led by Christian Yelich and Bryce Turang and Jackson Churio, although he's on the disabled list right now, they got enough guys to, hit the ball all over Bernie Brewer's backyard and win. I think Milwaukee's going to be good, but it's at the front end of the rotation. Can Mizorowski be this for the entire season? And does Kyle Harrison, who everybody's waited for, become something special? Cincinnati, so young for so many years, and they looked ready to turn the corner, and then this. They lose the ace of the staff for 4 months. Hunter Green goes down with surgery just last week. They got a lot of young pitchers, but nobody's ever surfaced to say, okay, I'm going to be the lead guy, and you can trust me every 4th day when you give me the ball. That batting order, led by De La Cruz, McLean, Stewart, Steer, they do bop the ball there at Great American Ballpark, but the loss of Hunter Green is devastating. Pirates, Paul Skeens. Now, he had a bad first start. He got lit up really badly because of center fielder O'Neill Cruz let him down on 2 fly balls today. It was disgraceful, which is typical the way Cruz plays. But you got Skeens. They've got Chandler coming. He's already there. We'll see if he can be the second guy in the rotation for the entire season. They've got some other young arms. They added 3 veteran rental free agents during the offseason to see if they could make a difference. To me, the mystery is O'Neill Cruz. This 6'7" shortstop they moved the center fielder. Just he hits and then he doesn't hit. He makes sparkling plays and then he screws up 2 fly balls that knock Skeens out early in the game tonight. At the end of the day, Cruz is just gifted, but he's just never grown into the role of being a budding young star. I don't know how they're going to solve that equation. And the last one, great city, great heritage, great fans, and you're going to have an awful team in St. Louis. Cardinals, long, hot summer ahead of them. Total rebuild. They got rid of everybody. All the pitching, Nolan Arenado, etc. It's just going to be a long road back. But they made a decision to pair the payroll, try to rebuild through the farm system. But, they're in a tough-ass division. So it's going to be tough in St. Louis. They're going to experience something they have not experienced for a long, long time. And there's a lot of heritage in Cardinal baseball. Tony La Russa, Whitey Herzog, etc. So what do you think about the Central? Bernie Brewer or the guys of Wrigleyville?
Alex Bregman does feel like a really good fit in Chicago.
Boom.
I mean, he looks like he just fits the part, like central casting, So I watched one of his at-bats. It was on the MLB network. They kind of had a live tune-in and hit it deep into the hole at third, but the 5.5 hole got thrown out at first. But one thing about this division that always cracks me up is that you forget about the Brewers. Every year, they lose a bunch of pitchers, they lose some other players to free agency, and then suddenly they're always like right there, whether it's in contention for a wild card or for the division title. So, I mean, I have the Brewers just because of this voodoo that they have. But you're right. But going back to the Pirates, I mean, that O'Neal Cruz, that guy is huge. I mean, he's almost as big as Aaron Judge.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, he's giant. And he is so athletic. That guy, and when he connects with the ball, it goes like a freaking mile. So he should be so much better than he is. And I know they moved him to center because of his defense at shortstop wasn't cutting it, but a lot of times he's dogging it in center field.
He loafs, or he doesn't have instinct. I mean, he misplayed 2 fly balls in center field today that killed Skeens.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say instinct. I would just say that you just kind of wonder, what's going on in his head, But there are some people that thought of the Pirates as an outside shot to surprise everyone and win this division. Well, I just don't see how that
We're only one game into the season, but at the end of the day, same old problem with that guy.
Yeah, and the other interesting side story is with the Cardinals. You always talk about, they're the best fans in baseball and everything. They don't show up when the Cardinals are sucking. I mean,
and they've been on a downhill skid.
Yeah, exactly. So, we always think of, Joe Buck and, that big signal that they've got, was at a KMOX, and all these Cardinal fans. And yeah, the Cardinals 99% of the time are a really good to above average team. This year, they ain't going to be that. And I'll bet you Busch Stadium will only be 2/3 full, if that.
Yeah, the attendance has really dropped. That's National League Central. Let's come home, National League West. The Evil Empire tries for three-peat. Gold standard pitching staff, blue star batting order. They got guys got big stats, great contracts, and very small egos. It's a very differently constructed baseball team. Now, Kyle Tucker is solid, but he won't need to be the flag carrier there. I mean, the personas are Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. And obviously, we have question marks about Blake Snell, when, Roki Sasaki, how, so he can be a complete starter. Dave Roberts has done such a phenomenal job in terms of handling that clubhouse and just making this group of rich guys be focused, play together, and be a really good team. I got the Dodgers winning the West. Padres, they keep coming close, but they've not gotten there yet. A superb batting order, an experienced bench, I think baseball's best bullpen. But they are so thin in the rotation, they cannot afford any more injuries. And they really need to have guys be able to step forward and be trustworthy beyond starters 1 and 2, because I think there's huge questions at 3, 4, and 5. The intangible, if this franchise gets sold by May 1st, will new ownership coming in with money, and that new owner has money, if the sales price is going to be $2.6 billion or $3 billion, that new owner coming in, will he let A.J. Preller spend more if A.J. feels he has to go make a trade to go get another starting pitcher? And if they're going to make a trade, then the burning question number 2 is, who are you going to trade since you traded the farm system away? I think the other intangible question to me, will we ever see Fernando Tatis be the dominant, explosive MVP-type talent we all thought he was prior to the wrist injury and the 1-year suspension? Because he's not been that. Has he been good? Hell yes. I mean, are we talking potential silver slugger? Yes. Are we talking gold glove? Yeah. Are we talking, obviously, a superstar in right field? Yes. But the complete package, the guy that hits .315 with 35 or 40 home runs and goes over the wall, we haven't seen that all together yet since he got hurt, since he got suspended. I think the Padres have the potential to be good, but there's this pitching thing that's out there. Giants, fascinating batting order to me. Adames, Chapman, Luis Ariz, Bader, Dever. Is there enough pitching? I think the whole season spins on what kind of statistical season they get from Rafael Dever, because he was not good when it came from Boston. I think Ariz is going to slap the crap out of the ball all over that big yard. They'll be chasing balls to the wall because that's who he is. He puts it in play. And does San Francisco have enough pitching beyond Logan Webb, who's a warrior? That remains to be seen. 4th place, It's a mystery team to me. Arizona. I just worry that there's just not enough. They got Marte, they got Perdomo, they got Carroll. Is there much gas left in the tank for Nolan Arenado? Because statistically, he's tailed off 2-3 years in a row. I also tend to think there's some huge durability issues with their starting rotation. Suddenly, Zach Gallen does not look like the Zach Gallen of 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Last season had a really ragged first half, came back in the second half. So I think there's some question marks about whether Arizona has enough on their 26-man roster. Rockies. Is this going to be some type of version of Moneyball 2.0? You know, you got Paul DePodesta going in there. You got Josh Burns going in there to fix that baseball operation that's been down forever. And they did nothing in terms of key acquisitions in the offseason. I don't understand it. Take a look at the rotation. I swear to you, just punch it up on yourself and look at their rotation and tell me that does not qualify you for 110 losses this season. Ooh. That's how weak it is. And ownership, this is the thing that's appalling to me. Do you know they once drew 4 million fans for Rockies baseball in Denver? And look at what the product's been allowed to deteriorate into. That could be such a phenomenal Rocky Mountain regional franchise, and ownership has screwed it up. And they did nothing in the offseason with DePodesta coming in, with Burns coming in so late. What's the game plan? What kind of product are you going to put on the field? Except what we've seen recently, and what we've seen recently hasn't been very good. So I've said a lot. John, give me your thoughts on the National League West.
Dodgers. I mean, how can you pick against the Dodgers? They did everything right. They win 2 in a row, 2 World Series in a row. They're going for the three-peat. And they added Tucker and they added Diaz. They just don't miss a beat. Everything's great. You know, Snell doesn't start till May or June. No big deal. They got other guys that are going to go. So I think they're going to win this division running away. I mean, even if you lose 2 or 3 of their stars to injury, they're still going to win the division by 10 games or whatever it's going to be. So clearly they're out in front. The Padres should be a second-place team, but after what we saw today, I'm not so sure.
Well, that's only one game.
Yeah, it's only one game, but it was a bit discouraging. The Giants, you're right. There's an intriguing batting order. A lot of those players in the infield, going around the horn there with Chapman and Adames and Arise and Devers. There's a lot of very interesting guys, but that's not a championship roster. That's not a championship team. So I don't know. And then the Diamondbacks are always so unpredictable. When you think they're going to be good, they're not. And when you think the opposite, they end up being good. And then the whole thing with the Rockies is like, it's just such a marvelous ballpark. We had a great experience when we went out there, but you get the sense that Monfort, he's a terrible owner, but he made maybe a sort of kind of good decision getting DePodesta because he wanted to maybe have a Moneyball strategy. How can I build a winner while not spending enough? And I think that's what he's going to get. And he'll be lucky if he gets the winner. He's certainly not going to spend the money.
Okay, you got an opinion on the National League West? Because we're baseball-centric and we know what we're talking about. Hop on board. Fans Forum chat box is open. Give us an opinion on the National League West. It's time for us to predict.
Oh.
I'm going to tell you what the records will be of these 3 teams here. You will tell me why or why not, and you're going to give me a number.
Okay.
Dodgers, 102-60. And that may be with a bunch of injuries and the fact that they can't figure out why Roki Sasaki can't repeat his rhythm and throw strikes, and maybe no Blake Snell till June 1st. I still think there's enormous talent and depth, especially in the rotation. The only thing that could change that, if something catastrophic happened with Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman, then maybe it changes some of the chemistry. But I think 102-60 in LA. Padres. I have talked the entire Cactus League about my concern about lack of pitching. It's very evident to me the Seidlers have turned off the spigot of money. There is no more money to go get anybody at this point. And how would A.J. Preller go get somebody if he needs to get more pitching? I think they're going to be 84-78. And again, this is a franchise that won 93 and 90 2 years in a row. But I think the tail off just because outside of Pivetta coming off a career year, the hope that Michael King can be what Michael King was prior to the injuries, and he hasn't shown it yet, and I agree it's early. The growth of Randy Vasquez, I'm optimistic he'll be much more competitive. I just have, at this point, I don't have any belief in the fourth and fifth guys as much as we might want Walker Buehler and Germán Marquez to succeed. And beyond that, they have nothing. They have zero. So I think pitching's a big problem. I got them 84 and 78. And for the Halos, I don't know what's going to be worse. The booing and the chants already sell the team, or the team going 66 and 98. That'd be the third great, horrible season under Moreno's blueprint as now. So that's how I view it. Go ahead, John. It's your turn. Here's my pen.
Okay.
Just write it down. What do you think?
Okay, well, let's go with the Dodgers first. So I could say 110 games, and that might be conservative. They might win 115. They might break the record. Isn't the record 120?
Yeah.
And I think that's possible. But you don't want to like predict it, because that's asking a lot. Frankly, winning over 100 games is a huge accomplishment. So I'm going to conservatively say that the Dodgers are going to go 98 and 64. They're going to finish just under 100 games. But, they could have catastrophic problems with this team, and they're still going to win well over 90.
Okay, 98 and 64.
Mm-hmm.
So the Padres, are you going to give me an answer with your head or with your heart?
A little bit of both. Okay, so I, with my head, this roster is better today at the beginning of the season than it was 365 days ago, in my opinion. And so I think they're better positioned to be successful. Sure, there are worries about the starting rotation, but there's so much upside with the hitting, with the bullpen, the bench is improved and everything else. They've had two 90-win seasons in a row. Can we expect a third? I'm going to go one notch below that. I got them at 89 and 73, second place in the NL West.
And what kind of number are we going to look at the Big A?
Oh, the way you said they lost 99 and then they lost 90 last year. I have them losing 93. They're going to be 69 and 93, dead last in the AL West. I'd love for them to surprise me. I'm on their side to be supportive and give them all the positive vibes. I just don't see it happening, Lee.
Okay, we've done our job. That's the baseball pennant race. We've just picked the records, what the teams are going to have. You're a baseball fan. Hey, this podcast belongs to you. Fans Forum chat box is open. Now, we're not done because we got some other storylines here that we want to cover. John, next topic on the table.
We talking payroll? Talking some money?
Yeah, let's talk about dollars. USA Today just put out a full expose on the baseball payrolls. Now, these numbers are based on average salaries for this year that do not include deferred money. So the Mets have the highest payroll in baseball, effective on opening day, $357 million. And people say, well, Lee, you guys have been barking about the Dodgers and payroll and luxury tax. Well, the Dodgers payroll is $322 million, but that does not include deferrals. Their total amount of money committed to the players this year would be $403 million. But you take the deferrals out of it, and it comes down to $322. So the Dodgers have the second highest payroll, but overall it's $403 million plus the luxury tax that'll be added on. The Yankees, who did nothing in terms of acquisitions, have the third highest payroll at $301 million. The Phillies, who spent a lot of money to re-sign all their pitchers to extensions, the Phillies are at $283 million. And Tampa Bay is at $279. They obviously added the Japanese slugger, but they used Bo Bichette's money to make that deal happen, and they used some of that money also to get Dylan Cease done. So those are the rich teams in Major League Baseball. Anything stun you about that? Aside from the bookkeeping that the Dodgers aren't number one, at least in that category for this season only.
Well, I think they're not number one because in that $322 million, Ohtani only counts for $2.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's That's baloney. I mean, these numbers are all kind of wacky. I mean, I understand what your methodology, and that's about the best you can do. But this just goes to show you that Cohen pivoted quickly when he lost out on Alonso. We went and spent money on all these other players. But yeah, the Dodgers, I mean, that number should be a lot bigger. They've got to figure out a way to the deferral, I think, is sort of a loophole in the system. Don't you think?
It's not illegal because the union agreed to it. And now everybody's doing it.
Right. But I mean, if you're going to have a salary cap or even a luxury tax, deferrals kind of are outside the scope of the spirit of the rule. I don't think they probably thought of that when they created the salary cap or the luxury tax.
Right.
And that'll definitely be something in the new CBA.
Okay. Now let's go to the next page. You ready for this one? These are the lowest payrolls in baseball. You ready for this? There are 8 teams as of today, opening day, that are under 100 million. 8. It's ridiculous. Cleveland has the lowest payroll in baseball. They got Jose Ramirez and everybody else earning nickels and dimes. Cleveland's payroll is 70 million. Miami, inherently cheap, 79 million. That's why they don't damn win. White Sox in the second year of a massive rebuild, where they had the 121 loss season 2 summers ago. White Sox are at 84 million. Tampa is at 89 million. But there's 8 ball clubs less than 100 million. That just, again, we're going to go back to my argument. Floor to spending makes the owners spend their revenue share. It allows better veteran players to go to Tampa, Miami, the White Sox, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, etc., which makes those teams better. Floor to spending solves this gross inequity.
You know, what's interesting is at first when I saw these teams, I thought, well, where in the hell are the Athletics? But they've been spending money.
They bumped up with their kids.
Yeah, and they've been making multi-year deals with those guys. I'm like, okay, yeah, Fisher is finally doing it the right way. But usually when we talk about some of these sandbaggers, the teams we think about are the Royals and the Pirates, and they're not even in the bottom 4.
No, but they'll be in that range of 101 million or 103 million. I mean, they're
down there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it just strikes me as odd because Cleveland it's not a small market. It's a
regional market.
Yeah. I mean, that's
could be a really great regional market. When they won, they were a great regional market, but
that's a bigger metropolitan area than Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Pittsburgh is much smaller.
Yeah. So, I mean, the most competitive marketplace near them has got to be Detroit or Chicago. I mean, they're bigger than Cincinnati, aren't they?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a regional franchise with great potential, but ownership does not realize it. So that's all things baseball payroll. You stunned at that disparity? It's right there in front of you. Okay, John, we move on to the next baseball topic.
Okay, we're going to go back talking about our SoCal sports teams.
Yeah, let's just talk briefly about some bullet points and some other headlines that are happening. Just prior to the game today, AJ Preller met with the media and clarified the whole Yu Darvish situation. Darvish is on the restricted list. Darvish has agreed to give the Padres $14 million back from this year's contract. Darvish will not really interact with Padre pitching because he's not allowed to be part of the team because he's on the restricted list. But AJ says Yu decided he just did not feel at this point he could work at the pace he wanted to work at and get ready for a year from now while being in San Diego. He also wanted to spend time with his family. He said he has always historically given back to this team. This is the second time in his career Yu Darvish has given money back while he was away from the franchise. He says we're leaving his second and third year of the contract open. If he can come back and he thinks he wants to come back, he will get the second and third year salary. He says, but he has to rehab at his own pace, and he wants to rehab back in Japan. He said he's been very straight and very honest with us, and I value him. So that's the latest there with him. Joe Musgrove spoke to the media briefly today. He said he expected to have some setbacks, but he was shocked at how he felt after the 60-pitch exhibition game inning. I think he rushed back. They let him rush too quick back instead of throwing an inning, then 2 innings and 3 to allow him to go out at max effort for 60 pitches. I think they made this situation work. He said, I needed this break. He said, during this whole course of this comeback after the surgery, he felt discomfort. He could feel aches. He didn't feel right. And that's part of what he said was just the normal procedure of learning how to pitch. He says he just had an MRI. There's no internal damage, which is really good news. He says, but there is no timeline. In all honesty, he did not use this word, but this is my word because I watched the interview. He's gone back to square one. He is all the way back to square one, which means you got to rebuild. You got to rebuild long toss, then you got to rebuild bullpen, then you got to rebuild batting practice, then you got to rebuild max effort in an inter squad game or over in the minor leagues. So we're talking an extended period here. Yeah. I was surprised they didn't put him on the 60-day disabled list, but he is currently on the 15-day disabled list. But he says, I'm not shocked by this. He threw for the first time long toss, soft long toss today, but he's way back. He says he feels good, but he is now way back behind the power curve again. So that's all things Padres. Dodgers. So the Dodger players go into their clubhouse today before their first start. And Dodgers have 10 players on the disabled list. It's really a weird thing. All these pitchers, led by Blake Snell, are on the DL. But they're just focused. And Dave Roberts continues to insist Roki Sasaki will be in the rotation and will start against Cleveland on the second series. What I don't understand, I mean, he's got a 15.58 ERA. He's had 3 miserable starts in the Cactus League. He pitched 8 2/3 innings total. He walked 15 batters, he hit 3, and he gave up 4 bombs. Oof. And I don't know whether it's his mental approach, whether it's maturity, whether it's just mechanics, whether it's emotions, whether it's loss of confidence. He's just all over the place, and he can't figure it out. You know, they went out 3 games and pulled him out of an inning, sat him down in the spring training rules, sent him back out. The second inning was better than the inning in which he blew up, but it keeps happening. It's just like he's lost his ability to throw strikes and he can't repeat his delivery. I mean, it's really bizarre. And the third one, obviously, is the Angels situation. They tried so hard. They signed so many free agent pitchers. And on their disabled list today, as the season started, Grayson Rodriguez, Alex Manoah, Kirby Yates, Ben Joyce, Robert Stevenson. They just signed Joey Lucchesi, the ex-Padre, the ex-Giant, the ex-Met. So he'll probably wind up in their rotation. And obviously the atmosphere there is just super ugly. Mike Trout did hit a home run today. The Angels did beat the Houston Astros in their season opener on the road, which was a stunner. They posted a 3-0 victory. But end of the day, everybody that they tried to get here, the marquee guys, most of them are on the disabled list. So start with you, go to Joe. Oh, I forgot. Dodgers walked in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
On every player's chair, in addition to their jersey hanging, was a gift package. Shohei Ohtani bought every player a $4,000 watch with the inscription, "Let's three-peat."
It's just like going to the Oscars and getting like a gift basket,
yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
I mean, but good on Ohtani for doing that, but it's just like they just do everything just right.
No,
don't they?
No, they do.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Start with the Padres and talk about you, talk about Joe, talk about Roki. If you want to talk about Halo baseball, go ahead.
Well, you know, the Halo baseball, you were calling them a Swiss cheese pitching rotation, and they go out and shut out the Astros on the road.
How's that possible?
That's incredible. So maybe those young kids are going to show us something. But when you were naming off all those guys on the injured list, every one of them were guys they added. And then there was Ben Joyce, who is recovering from the injury.
And
before.
Stevenson, too.
Yeah, so unbelievable. You know, as far as the Padres go, I mean, Darvish, what he's doing something that you normally don't ever see a ball player do.
Yeah.
You know, most of them will say, yeah, I'm on contract, and they're going to show up to work every day and get paid twice a month or whatever it is.
Yeah, he goes on the DL. He's guaranteed his salary. Instead, he's on the restricted list and he can't be paid, and he's giving it up.
So it just goes to show you that he's just got a different set of values right now, and his kid's a pitcher. So he probably wants to go enjoy him, throwing the ball. And is he in high school, or is he worked his way up to college yet? High school. So, Darvish, he may never come back. I mean, that's possible. He may be done, because it seems like if he made the decision to have one more shot at it, how old is he? He's over 40, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And so, it just seems like he's just sort of keeping the door a crack open just in case.
He's had 3 injuries in 3 years.
Yeah. And at Musgrove, his heart's all there, so I think, to your point, he's going to have to rebuild this thing, but he's going to do everything. He's smart. I mean, he's enthusiastic. He wants to pitch, but he's not going to push himself beyond a limit, because the dude, he's got brains. He's a smart guy, so did he go overboard in that first outing? I don't know. Maybe a little.
But that's a Padre decision. Why did Jen not temper this? I know what his enthusiasm level is, but 60 pitches, max effort, first outing.
Well, it's not like he didn't pick up a ball,
No, he's
before
trained,
the game.
But
yeah.
that's,
so
I kind of disagree with this approach.
It was, you could, I mean, it's a fair criticism, but I'm just saying that Joe is not going to put himself into a situation that would be really dumb, that he's going to blow out his arm or something bad would happen. I mean, he's doing his best he can, but I think we're not going to see him maybe till after the All-Star break. I mean, could it be that long?
Yeah, I think so.
So the Padres could sure use him in the rotation.
Yeah. And I had theorized that they were getting $14 million back that could be used towards another pitcher. They're not. That money's already been spent. That money was spent on Michael Kings. So the only way they're going to be able to do something is if this franchise is sold, a new owner comes in and says, you want to add a pitcher? I'll let you take the payroll up and we'll pay additional luxury tax.
Yeah, but my sense is if you get a good owner, they're going to want to do that. They're going to want to make a little bit of a splash and show the community that they're all in. So let's hope it turns out that way.
Yeah. So that's where we are. All things Padres, all things Dodgers, all things Angels. We invite you to join us. Fans Forum chat box is open. Hope you're enjoying our baseball preview on a Thursday. We are at halftime. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they got materials. You want ideas? They can be your best friend and your consultant. DIXIELINE Lumber, with locations all over San Diego County, plus the new one up in Dana Point. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you're watching this podcast down in your basement while you're building something, you're out in the back in the garage, maybe you're on the back patio doing something, DIXIELINE Lumber has an unbelievable tool display. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, I want you to pay attention while John tells you about the history of this aspect of the business.
Yeah, been in business for over 100 years, and they really got started by providing all the lumber for all the post-World War II building. I mean, the post-World War I building that happened here in San Diego, and then, of course, the big boom after the Second World War. So they've been in San Diego forever. I mean, talk about a pillar in the community. So you know what the greatest thing is about DIXIELINE too is they're not just for the do-it-yourself, they're for the builder and the contractor. And you remember back in the day, you were on sports, the Mighty 690. People would have their boombox out there. They'd be listening to you, giving them the best 15 at 4 p.m. On a Tuesday afternoon. Well, they're still doing that, and the podcast is being shared amongst builders and contractors on job sites. They get to enjoy it too. So it's all good, man.
You got projects, they got materials. Just go to DIXIELINE.com to see all the things that they have to offer. Okay, couple programming notes. We're doing this opening day podcast coming off the Padres 8-2 loss to the Detroit Tigers. The Angels beat the Astros 3-0. The Dodgers play night game tonight, their season opener, against the Arizona Diamondbacks. A reminder, when we're done, you take over this podcast. Looking for baseball fan, I want you to bat leadoff. Bring the heat meat. Fans Forum chat box will be open for business. You can get on board, ask questions. No excuses accepted. We allow you to be a co-host here. John, how does Fans Forum work for all the new people that are with us on live stream?
Well, here's a name I haven't seen before. It's Texo Cali Station. So he's on here. There's Rocket Dog, XX Revolution. We got Casey. We got the Dennis in there, Thero Dennis. We got Daniel. We got a bunch of other dudes that have piled in. Teamer, I see in there. Callan, Flash Bainey is always on the line there. So a lot of your old friends are piling in. We want to see new names, new faces. We'll get everyone involved. If you have a question or comment for Hacksaw and anything in the world of sports, Drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, X, or Facebook.
Bring the heat, meat. We want to hear what you've got to say. You're a baseball fan on opening day. Just a couple of other quick reminders. I write about sports every day. You should check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com. You should read the best 15 minutes in sports, the written version. It's there. Read my one man's opinion column today. It's about the opening of the baseball season. I want you to share, tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. You'll get the alerts every time we put additional videos up. We put 28 videos up weekly on the YouTube channel, so you'll get the alerts there. You can help us grow this thing a great deal. Where's that button? Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the follow button. And, of course, on Apple, give us a 5-star rating. Boom, boom, boom. That helps us grow this podcast a great deal. Follow me on Twitter, on social media, on X. Just type in the name, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton. Hit the follow button or go to @Hacksaw1090, and then you can participate in all my mini polls. So we're all over the place. This thing has exploded. We thank you for being with us and sharing some of your time with us. Okay. We move to the second half because we're not done.
Something.
Oh, you're going to say something.
I do want to say something. If you know what's a cool place to go check it out is if you go to Apple Podcasts and you can leave a 5-star rating, but a lot of people leave reviews and people have written and they'll say, oh my God, I remember Hacksaw from the days in the 1990s, touchdown San Diego. And they're like reliving their youth from 30 years ago. So many people are so happy to reconnect. So if you look at the comments section in Apple Podcasts where you can leave a rating and a review, the reviews are just a fun read.
Okay.
It's like a walk down memory lane.
I appreciate that. All right, we move on. We go to the second half of our podcast. Baseball's one thing. Shooting three-point shots is still going on in college basketball. What a weekend we have ahead of us.
Yeah, the Sweet 16. March is a great month.
Yeah, let's just move on. Sweet 16, March Madness. I can't wait for this one. Arizona, Arkansas. Holy cow. I mean, Arizona is just loaded. Koa Pete, Player of the Year, might be the first pick in the NBA draft. Krivas, the big center, the rebounder. The shooters, Jaden Bradley and Brandon Burris. And the Wildcats are just so deep off the bench. What a roster Tommy Lloyd has constructed. Tell you what, fascinating challenge. Will Arizona's athleticism and height make Arkansas's shooting guard Darius Acuff disappear? You know, he had 36 points in the second game for the Razorbacks. And Arkansas is all offense. Calipari don't play any defense at all. How are they going to stay in this game? Can they make this game a shootout against Arizona? They're averaging 90 points a game. I bet they don't get 90 against Arizona. So that's going to be a great Sweet 16 game. St. Paul's versus Duke. Pitino. His defense is just freaking relentless. And what a matchup of big men. How about Cam Boozer versus Zuby Elijiofor? These are two really big players. Duke is scuffling, though. Duke's not playing a consistent 40 minutes of basketball right now, and that's obviously got to do with the injury to Caleb Foster. They've been really erratic in stretches of time. Third game, you got Michigan. You got Alabama. Wolverines just pounding the basketball inside with the big guy, the transfer, Yex Landenborg. Now, the Tide shoot a ton of threes. Can you shoot a ton of threes against the type of defense that Michigan gets in the backcourt of the game? That's going to be a fascinating game there. Tide, by the way, are averaging 91 a night with their offense. I don't think they're going to be able to pour up that many points against the Wolverines. UConn, Michigan State. Huskies, Dan Hurley versus Tom Izzo. Do you think they'll be screaming at the refs right from the opening tip-off?
Yeah.
That's going to be great. I hope those refs wear earplugs. But, you know, who wins the battle? I mean, Michigan State's got Fears. They got Carr. They got Kohler. The Huskies got Alex Caravan. And the big man, the 7-footer, Terrace Reed, is just, he's had himself a really interesting tournament. So those are the marquee games in the Sweet 16. And, of course, obviously it's starting tonight, rolls into tomorrow, and then we'll go to the Elite Eight on Saturday, Sunday to see who gets to go to the Final Four. These are all really great teams for a wide variety of reasons, led by great coaches.
That's what I was going to say, is every one of these teams has a personality, a coach. And it just makes you wonder, how did they do it? I mean, how have some of these, like, in the case of like Shire taking over Duke, there's a brand name. He's just took over. He took the baton from Krzyzewski. But for these other programs like Nate Oates at Alabama, they were kind of, mid in the SEC, but now they're a much more dominant program. So it just makes you wonder, what makes a college basketball coach successful? What's your opinion?
In 2026?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but you don't see Grand Canyon or BYU or places that spent a lot of money in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, but these guys spent beyond what anybody else.
Where's Kentucky?
Spent.
Kentucky is the number one in spending.
Yeah, failed. Exactly.
Right. But I still think these coaches have a special sauce. They definitely have a program. They have an identity. So these are really neat teams, neat coaches to follow.
Oh, this is really good. And sadly, and we've talked about this prior, and I've written about it on a column I wrote just last week in One Man's Opinion on my website. Sadly, we'll never see the mid-majors back in the Sweet 16.
No, I disagree.
Okay. You're entitled to an opinion, even if it's the wrong one. At the end of the day, the big boy has all the money, and they'll go get every player. Instead of just having 5 great players, now everybody in that group has 8 or 10, which means you're cherry picking from all the mid-majors.
So it's all over for Gonzaga.
I think, Gonzaga, San Diego State. I think it's just going to be impossible if these rules stay the way these rules are.
Yeah, but every year except this year, Dutcher has always seemed to have been successful in spite of, all the NIL stuff. Same, up at Gonzaga with Mark Few. So keep an eye, especially on Gonzaga, if they're going to be able to stay at that upper echelon.
Okay. So that's what's going on the floor. There's a lot of news off the floor as it relates to coaches.
And here's the list. KU at the top.
We're waiting to see what the final decision is going to be. We're talking about Bill Self and his health. He's had heart procedures. Rumors are running rampant all this week throughout the Big 12 that Bill was going to step away. At this point, he has not stepped away. He's been very vocal about the fact, I'm meeting with my doctors. I'm talking about the potential. The stress level has caused him a lot of health problems during the course of this year, and this is a historical problem that he's had his entire career. At this point, he is still the head coach at Kansas. At North Carolina, boy, it is bitter. There's a segment of the basketball alumni that did not want Hubie Davis removed, including a number of his players, and there was another segment that wanted him out because of these first-round failures. Hubie Davis just seemed to lose his composure every time they lost a game, and his leadership just kind of faltered along the way, and they've raised more money to buy out his staff and buy him out at $5 million. And I'll tell you, there's a little divisiveness at Chapel Hill right now. There's a lot of people beefing about the fact you got all this money for Bill Belichick, and you had to go with your hat in your hand to walk down the hallway and demand money to buy out this guy. Why is football suddenly a bigger priority than the tradition of Dean Smith, Roy Williams, and North Carolina basketball? So that's a really nasty story there. And they supposedly wanted to go after T.J. Alstenberger from Iowa State, and he said no. They wanted to talk to Tommy Lloyd, and he says, my career is at the University of Arizona. So they're looking for a new head coach, and the hottest guys at this point don't want to talk to them. Cincinnati, I saw the press conference. Man, Jared Calhoun is such a cool guy.
He is.
And so classy. And he spent time at his press conference praising Bob Huggins, the legendary Bearcats coach who went on to West Virginia, and then praising Mick Cronin, who was at UCLA coach. He talked to both of them before he took the job. Very, very classy. And now a number of his players at Utah State have said they're entering the transfer portal. I would bet there'll be an infusion of Utah State players to the University of Cincinnati. And he got choked up. I can't imagine how hard it would be to have built the Utah State program and right after this great season of success, walk into that team exit meeting and announce that you're leaving for the University of Cincinnati and you're leaving behind the culture and everything you built there. I would imagine that was really hard. Arizona State, good hire, Randy Bennett. St. Mary's, it's probably the end of the St. Mary's program because I think they drift back to mediocrity. They're excited because they think Randy Bennett will bring his connections in Europe and on the Pacific Rim with him to Arizona State. Maybe that puts them over the top. And the last one is a story that broke today, and this is really nasty. at North Carolina State. You know, they hired Will Wade, who had been at LSU for a bunch of years. Wade got fired at LSU for NCAA violations all over the place. And he bounced around. He wound up going to McNeese. North Carolina State gave him a second chance and gave him money for NIL. He quit 1 year to the day he was hired today. And within hours, he went back to LSU. And North Carolina State's people are just furious at Will Wade. And this comes on the heels of all things LSU did with Lane Kiffin and the football program and tampering when Lane Kiffin was at Ole Miss. So there's one set of rules for everybody in the NCAA, and there's a different set of rules supposedly for anybody in Baton Rouge. So that's an intriguing story there. There's a lot of ill will on Tobacco Road tonight over Will Wade. Meanwhile, San Diego State, he's got a right to explore. I'm not sure whether he's going to leave or whether he's just exploring because he has this opportunity, and whether he comes back. BJ Davis says he's going to go to the transfer portal on April 7th. He averaged 9 and 10 points over 2 years. He's got the right to do this. I guess it ponies up to what was said by Brian Dutcher. Brian Dutcher said, everyone's in the portal.
Yeah.
Everybody's tampering with every one of my players in the portal, even though the portal doesn't open till April 7th. So we'll see what BJ Davis does. And University of San Diego, guy comes with great credentials, J.R. Blunt. He's hired off the staff at Iowa State, had been there. Prior to that, had been at Colorado State. USD did enormous research on this guy. They talked to a number of really, really key assistants, and they wound up getting him. Evidently, Otzenberger at Iowa State and Nico Medved, who used to be at Colorado State, just gave glowing statements about J.R. Blunt going to University of San Diego. And his press conference, he said all the right things. We're going to play defense. We're going to run the football. And we're going to be academically strong, and you're going to show up on time. Big question, does he have enough resources? Big question, can he convince bounce backs that he may have recruited prior to come to University of San Diego? Third question, if he develops them into good players, can they hold them from jumping ship? You know, every new coach coming to the front door always says the right things. I mean, I've been at virtually all those USD press conferences in which, and it all started with Bill Greer, who came from Gonzaga, who I thought was going to be a hit and had success. That 1 year they got the Toreros to the NCAA and haven't done anything since. But everyone from Bill Greer through Steve Lavin has made the same statement. We're going to do this. We're going to be the new team in the West Coast Conference. And Blunt has said the exact same thing, but we'll see if they can follow up. Their record in the last 7 years is 74 and 133. So they've really been down. So, John, I threw a lot of names on the board here, but start with Bill Self here, work your way through Chapel Hill, and go from there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, these are blue bloods right here, those top two names. I mean, this is amazing. So you wish Bill Self, health, but he's had issues in the past. Yeah. So this might be a time for he may need to make a move. But I just look at North Carolina and I'm thinking you would expect a lot of that'd be a place that a lot of people would aspire to coach at. Right. There was even some people on X saying, oh, maybe Michael Jordan was going to go back there and coach. Can you imagine if that happened? And then Jared Calhoun, he's a good man. I mean, he's going to do well for Cincinnati. And you were saying they're going to take some Utah State kids with him. And I saw, Carson Templin has already entered the transfer portal.
That's first one.
Yeah. And so more of those guys are going to be coming. It isn't that Elamine kid. Wasn't he a freshman?
Yes.
So that would be a good get for the Bearcats as well. All good, with Arizona State and Randy Bennett. I mean, that's a quality hire. That's a university that wants to be relevant, in basketball. And by the way, you ever wonder, like James Harden, where did he go to school? And he was Arizona State.
Yeah, for a brief time. Yes.
I kind of forgot all about that. That's a strange thing about these coaches. I mean, quitting right now. I mean, this is like when the transfer portal is about to open and the coach bails on him. I mean, it's just a terrible timing.
Yeah. Your thoughts on BJ Davis and your thoughts about USD?
Well, everyone's all emotional. Oh, here we go. They're all going to walk out the door. This is just normal. This is going to happen. Some of these guys will go in the portal and they'll look around and they'll say, well, the grass ain't always greener. And they're going to they're going to come out of the portal.
Or Dutcher knows so many people in so many places. They'll find replacements. Trust me.
Yeah, they will. They'll be fine. I mean, they may not be as good. I mean, we don't know who we're going to get in return, but at any rate, I'm not too shocked by all of this. And then if you look at the Torero, so one thing I really liked from that press conference was saying he wants to build this on defense and a transition game. And I thought, okay, here we go. Now here's an identity to the program. And that's like what Fisher did when he came to San Diego State. And he looked for a lot of those bounce back players that were like super athletic, but they had trouble with mid-range shots, but if you get enough of those guys, I mean, you can just be relentless on the boards and, get some fast break layups the other way and surprise some teams.
I mean, I am stunned. I knew Bill Greer, and he had been Gonzaga with Few for a long time, and I thought this is a really good hire. And they had the blazing start, and it just got away from them. And obviously, you and I know Lavin. I know him really well. I thought that was going to be a hit. And
I did too.
That did not work because the landscape changed. So we'll follow J.R. Blunt and just see where it goes from there. You're a basketball fan? How you got a comment about this coaching carousel? Because if you think player transactions are crazy, what's happening in the coaching front is just as crazy. We go from hoops. Let's talk football.
Got updates in every sport here. Lee, Chargers at the top.
Yeah, let's just talk about a couple of different things here. The Chargers, who I just don't think have had a very good free agent season. ESPN doesn't think so either. ESPN just wrote a column today. They rated all the teams in the NFL. They rated the Chargers 32nd.
That's last.
Dead last in free agent acquisitions. I mean, they really banged on Joe Ortiz that he has not done enough. Well, he's done some things right now. He just signed a pretty good young offensive lineman who was a free agent from the Detroit Lions, a part-time starter. His name is Keota Owasika, and he will be probably their starting right guard. And he's physical. It was a backup, but he played some games when a lot of injuries. He played really well. So the arrow is pointing up on him. And they just met yesterday with one of the top interior offensive linemen. Is he going to be on the board when it comes time to draft? That's the burning question. But they really like Vega Ioane, Penn State, 6'4", 330, mauler with good feet.
All right.
So if they could get the Penn State pick at 22, but he may not be there at 22, but if they get him with what they just did with Awasika, now you got some stability there because those guys, I think, both have got really good upside. So we're going towards the draft in April. That's the latest there from the Chargers. 49ers, guess who's in for a visit? Joey Bosa.
Brotherly love.
Yeah, Nick Bosa's older brother. A lot of controversy, though, in San Francisco. They have not released Brandon Ayuk. And now there's a union starting to bitch about this, saying, why are you holding this guy hostage? You did not pick up the guarantees in his contract. You took him off the roster in the middle of the season. Now, Ayuk is guilty of a bunch of junk off the field, but why don't you release him? It's like the Niners. I was told John Lynch is trying to get a draft pick. I don't know what value he's got because his track record's really, really tacky as a person off the field. But now the union's raising hell about this situation. And they got a problem with their left tackle. They got salary cap problems. Trent Williams' cap figure is $47 million. This is the last year of a guaranteed deal. The final year of the contract has no guaranteed money. And they're trying to get him to restructure down to take this cap figure down to give him more breathing room. And he's refused to do it. I don't know what's going to happen in San Francisco. So John Lynch has got his hands full. Green Bay, they got Jordan Love. This story came out of nowhere. We're talked extensively about Kirk Cousins, Pittsburgh maybe, Raiders. Kirk Cousins is going to visit with Green Bay.
Really?
And I find that really hard to believe because Cousins is the starting quarterback. Cousins wants more money. Cousins don't want to be somebody's backup. Doesn't make any sense. Why would he want to be the backup to Jordan Love? Unless he's at age 37, he's going to finish out his career and try to take one more payday. But that's a really interesting story that all of a sudden he's going to Green Bay this weekend to meet with the Packers. Saints looking for another quarterback have just signed, here's a name you'll remember, Zach Wilson, ex-Jet, ex-Dolphin, ex-Denver, ex-really high number one pick. So New Orleans is bringing him in to compete for a backup quarterback job. And guess who might be on your TV next Sunday in the football season? Mike Tomlin.
Hey.
Mike Tomlin has just hired very influential media agent, Sandy Montag. Montag represents a lot of media people, coaches who become media people. I would bet you turn on CBS 8, you'll see Mike Tomlin in a studio show with Sandy Montag. So, John, that's the latest in the National Football League.
That's interesting. I mean, with Tomlin, instant credibility, right? I mean, so, and imagine having him, and Cowher is on CBS too, isn't he? So that'd be kind of interesting to see the two of them somehow combined. But you've answered some questions about the Chargers, because we wondered why in the hell are you not picking up any free agents, high quality free agents to be the interior linemen. Now we're getting a glimpse of their strategy. But to your point, is that, that one dude from Penn State going to be on the board? Yep. Because those offensive linemen usually go pretty quick. The Bosa brothers and 49ers, that feels good. That's a nice story. The Kirk Cousins thing makes no sense to me at all. But, Zach Wilson, the greatest thing about Zach Wilson is that he dated his ex-girlfriend's mom.
Oh. I'm glad you pay attention to the important stuff.
Just hilarious. And I think it was almost like a way to get back at his ex. So he's an interesting guy. And when wasn't he like the number 2 overall pick?
Jets.
And he went to the Jets, and he wasn't a very big guy. And you kind of wondered how he was going to do in the NFL. And he never really panned out.
He's physical, can throw the hell out of the ball. But I'm seeing him from different teams, and you're this deep into your career. You've been released 3 times, and you're still making passes like that. I just don't know if he's a student of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of him.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's all things National Football League. This Charger thing bears watching. Very briefly, before we go to Fans Forum, NHL Notebook.
Hockey Hotline meltdown, Rangers, Oilers.
Well, I've seen a lot of bad hockey, but there's a lot of stuff going on with these two franchises. This New York Rangers situation is amazing. It's tough to win in the National Hockey League. It's impossible to win at home when you only have 9 shots on goal. The New York Rangers the other night against Ottawa had 9 shots on goal at home, at the Garden, in front of their fans. 9 shots on goal.
What are you doing?
Nothing. Get this stat. First of all, they're in last place in the Eastern Conference. Toronto Maple Leafs now can turn around and look at the Rangers in last place.
What the hell?
They have won only 9 of 34 games at Madison Square Garden this year. Nice home ice advantage.
That's nuts.
That's just
I don't know how New York fans putting up with it.
The other story is out of Edmonton. Connor McDavid really starting to lose his confidence in ownership and in the coach. He stormed off the ice in practice. He's really upset with the arrangement of who's playing on whose line, why the Oilers can't score goals outside of he and Draisaitl. And the problem, they're having more problems than goaltender with Tristan Jarry, who they traded for after they got rid of Stuart Skinner. Now, McDavid's refused to answer questions about what the hell happened with him and their coach, Chris Knobloch. But that's messy. And that's a team with a high payroll with stars. And they'll be in the playoffs, but are they going to go anywhere? So that's what's going on in the NHL. We'll go from that. Last topic on the table, hot headlines.
Hot headlines got at San Diego FC.
Interesting story. SDFC, owned by people who own the franchises and the academies in the Netherlands. Those people know good players hidden in other leagues over there. I mean, and that's how Anders Dreyer got here. Get this story. I tried to connect the dots on this one. Just released from Liverpool, their legendary goal scorer, Mo Salah. He's Egyptian. Been there forever with Liverpool.
Yeah.
255 career goals.
He's an icon.
SDFC wants to talk to his agent. Now, Salah also has an opportunity maybe to leave Liverpool and go to Saudi Arabia, because they tried to sign him a couple of years ago and he turned them down. But Salah reached the end of the road with the coaching staff. They bought him out. He scored 255 goals in the English Premier League, I think over a 9-year period. wouldn't that be unbelievable if somebody of that magnitude were to come here for SDFC? And when I heard that the ownership of San Diego FC was going to make the contact, it made sense because these are European soccer people who know everybody. They know agents. And the MLS transfer window is now going to open. It'll be this exact same transfer window the EPL teams and all the other leagues have. And here's the addendum item. Because Liverpool is releasing Salah effective at the end of the season in June, there's no transfer fee that goes to Liverpool. So you just sign Mo Salah straight out, and you don't have to pay $68 million or whatever the going rate is for a star to Liverpool as a transfer. How about that?
Wow.
Is that'd be just absolutely amazing. So we'll talk about that situation there. We'll talk also about Team USA. It's an amazing emotional story. Hasn't gotten a lot of national pub. It should. Landon Donovan, great Team USA player, legendary scorer, has done so many great things over the course of his career. Player, coach, broadcaster. Landon Donovan just confirmed he has spent his entire life, John, dealing with depression. Depression as a player, depression as a professional, depression as a person coming from a broken home, revealing. He's just written a book about his life. It's just not about his soccer accomplishments. I played there, etc. It's about the ups and the downs and the peaks and the valleys of being a person who's fought depression. I've read some excerpts from it. It was just amazing, opening his heart. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, Landon lives here now after having retired and has coached here, and obviously is very popular and will work the World Cup, etc. So that's a fascinating story. So American dollars to Mo Salah, and you want to talk about Landon Donovan? Go ahead.
How in the hell is SDFC? They're already kind of eating Chucky Lozano's contract.
Well, they'll find a way to move him off the books.
But they're willing to pony up some money to go get Mo Salah. So
for next year.
Okay. Oh, for next year. Okay. So that's the part I just didn't hear properly. So it's cool. I mean, to get some of these star players to come over and play in MLS, that's great for the league. It goes to show you the San Diego FC wants to be, a top dog on the stage here in the United States.
Not Lionel Messi, but damn, he's good.
He is. Yeah. Yeah. And he's just instant credibility. So that's great. And yeah, and then this story about Landon Donovan, we just hear more of this, that everyone's got issues in their life and, some more than others, but they're open, they're candid, and they get help. And we pat them on the back and we love them.
Yeah. Yeah. This mental health story is quite a revelation because he failed. He went to Germany and he failed, and it was very hard on him. And he kind of came back with the tail between his legs and had to rebuild his credibility as a player. And he did. He played big. And then now he also failed at the end of the run with Team USA because he got treated very shabbily, I thought, by Jurgen Klinsmann, who was the coach of Team USA, who didn't select him for the final World Cup.
That was weird.
Yeah, very weird. So, but he was very honest and very open about what happened to his life and how he's changed. That's it. We do sports talk the way it should be done. I hope you have enjoyed this podcast because we put a lot of topics on the table, led by the baseball pennant race preview that we started this thing with on a Thursday afternoon. It's your turn now. We're going to try to bust as many fans forum comments as we can in the next half hour. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. You got projects, they got materials. Go to DIXIELINE.com, and if you're a do-it-yourselfer in your home, you got to check out the tool headquarters at the DIXIELINE stores. John, we got a lot of people lined up. I hope they enjoy the fact we started at 4:30 because it's opening day for Padre baseball. I'm looking for some good input from them.
Yeah, here's the Padre comments here with Callan. Hey, afternoon, gents. Saw it's game one, but that was pretty damn deflating. Pivetta got behind the 8-ball early, and it brought everyone down. Skubal is on track for another Cy Young. We move to Friday.
Boy, Skubal was just, he was really, Callan, it was really something. It only counts as one. Pivetta, to me, was too hyped. Now he settled down in the second inning, but he'd thrown so many pitches by the time he got to the third that he got whacked. So we'll see what game 2 is. But game 2 is not going to be easy because it is Michael King. And Michael King, although he's pitched well in starts in spring, he's only gotten through 3 innings. He can't get beyond the 3 innings. And you got Framber Valdez making his first start. So it only counts as one setback, but it kind of took the air out of the balloon, I thought, opening day at home.
It did, and it was just like, walking in a run. He's missing his fastball high. The curveball wasn't getting into the zone. And you could see him kind of getting frustrated and trying harder, and that wasn't working.
And then the rookie gets 4 hits in his first day in the major leagues, Kevin McGonigal. Wow. I don't know if that's an all-time record. It might be. It's something.
Well, it shows you that kid's deserving.
Yeah.
So I have a newfound respect for this Tigers lineup, and we'll see if Valdez can keep the thing going.
Callan, thanks for joining us. We march on, try to get as many on as we can.
Okay, some Angel talk with Teamer. Angels shut out the Astros 3-0. First opening day win in 13 years. Light that baby up.
He's talking about the sign there at the Big A. So that was one win. I was kind of impressed. Now we're going to see what's going to happen with the second game we'll play against the Astros. The Astros, their batting order is kind of weird, and they got a lot of age on that team right now. Maybe this is not going to be the Astros team that everybody expects it to be. A lot has got to do with the health of Altuve and Correa and Jordan Alvarez. But it was a nice win for the Angels. That game was 0-0 for a long period of time, which means the Angels' batting order isn't very good. But the pitching did a good job of just kind of challenging them. And they got Kikuchi, the Japanese left-hander, who's pretty competitive. He had a good year last year. He's going to start second game against the Astros.
Swiss cheese pitching rotation.
So far, yes.
Well, yeah, they threw a big goose egg up there.
It only counts as one last I checked.
Yeah, but still, what a night of 13 years. Is that really real? Yeah. Right? They've been that long since they won opening day. And that's a cursed franchise. They want to see something happen there. We need like some angels in the outfield, sort of like magic from God from above, and give them some secret sauce.
Even Mike Trout hit a home run today, which we haven't seen much of that either.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Here's a new name, and this is Texo Cali Station. Hey, lovely start to the Yankees season last night. I loved it. I'm a Yankees and a Padres fan. My cousin Tim Burke pitched for the Yankees, Mets, and Expos 1985 to 92. So I root for the Yanks as well as my hometown Padres.
I think it's a really good team if they have no injuries. They could not afford to lose Judge for a long time. Giancarlo Stanton has never been the explosive bat because of all the injuries that he's compiled. Volpe, I think, is a star in the making, but they can't keep him healthy. He's coming off a shoulder issue. And they're going to get Garrett Cole back. They're going to get Rodon back. Max Fried has grown into an ace. And they've signed a bunch of fill-in pitchers, if you will. And they've got young pitching, Schlittler and the young right-hander. I can't pull his name out of my head.
Clark Schmidt?
Yeah, Clark Schmidt. They have the potential to have a much deeper rotation as soon as they get Garrett Cole back and they get Rodon back. So they're good. They could be good. Can't afford anybody to get hurt, though.
Yeah, they look good last night.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think, for the longest time, I've always doubted Cody Bellinger, when he was so high with the Dodgers and then he was just terrible. So is he like now back to where Cody Bellinger should be? And can we expect consistency?
I was fascinated that he coped with the public atmosphere of being a Yankee, because that the pressure is unbelievable, and the coverage of Yankee baseball is unbelievable, and everybody's interviewing you, and everybody's got an opinion. It's New York's it's such the media capital of the world. It is a tough place to be a player and be an athlete. So, if Bellinger can be a 300 hitter, and he did play last season, he had a really good season for the Yankees.
Mm.
And of course that was the end result of Soto. He's gone. We don't care. We're going to spend our money somewhere else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, you have the Yankees winning the AL East, and that's definitely plausible. We'll see.
If nobody gets hurt. Can't afford to have Judge go down for an extended period.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that guy. But, he struck out 3 times to Logan Webb. So it seems like the Yankees won in spite of Judge's bad performance.
He had 4 Ks. People going crazy.
I remember the first 3.
Yeah. Okay. Hope you enjoyed our baseball preview. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, let's go to Daniel. Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Happy opening day to you.
Yay.
Question for both of you. Is there a solution to finding a better way to watch our baseball teams on TV? Too many options?
Oh, too expensive options. I was telling John this story. One of the tabloid columnists did an investigative piece. I don't know if it was in the New York Daily News or the New York Post this morning. He said, if I wanted to watch every Yankee game, how much would it cost me? And he came up with $1,010 because the Yankees are all over the place. They're on their SNY network, but they're on all these other streaming services too. $1,010 if you want to watch all 162 Yankee games. And there is a lot of criticism that because Rob Manfred wants to have all these different streaming packages and options and all these media partners, fans don't know where the games are because the games could be scattered in different places. I mean, Netflix started with the Yankee Giant game.
Yeah.
And not everybody has Netflix. So as much money as they're trying to make with their media contracts, I think they have 7 or 8 different media partners now. And they're not putting the games on MLB Network, that was the reason they formed that whole network, which is kind of stupid.
Really? I mean, usually there'll be some game on MLB Network.
No game yesterday, no game today.
Oh, well, it's opening day. So, we're going through a transition period and It's messy. But overall, the way that MLB is embracing digital, embracing streaming, because not everybody likes to sit on their couch and watch their TV, with the rabbit ears and try to get the black and white in clearly to watch their old Yankees. This is the everyone is watching their games on their streaming device, on their phones, and they're out mobile. So it's good that it's becoming more digital. I just think once we get through this transition period, I think it's going to settle down. Because right now, if you want to watch every single game, you're going to have like probably 5 or 6 subscriptions. But usually, like the team might have one game on Apple TV or maybe one game on Peacock or something. So sometimes you're going to get screwed every once in a while.
Can I correct you when you said baseball's embracing? You left out the other phrase. They're embracing your dollar bill.
Well, someone's got to pay Juan Soto, where the money's got to come from somewhere, So in the end, the Netflix broadcast, by the way, Vasgersian was doing play-by-play. He's always excellent. Barry Bonds was on the pregame, postgame show. And, I'm a Giants fan, and he was raised like not too far from where I was raised. But he's just not a very likable fella.
You think?
Yeah, I know. And he just, you don't really hear him behind the microphone all that often. But
he's persona non grata across a lot of lines of baseball.
He is. But, he's trying to be a good guy behind the mic, but it just doesn't feel right. It's almost not authentic.
He can't deliver the persona.
No.
Not at all. Okay, thank you for joining us. I hope you become a regular on this podcast. Move on, John.
Okay, let's go here to Casey. He's got his predictions. Good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, John. My picks, AL East Blue Jays, AL Central Tigers, AL West Mariners, wild cards Yankees, Red Sox, Guardians, as they beat our Royals by a game for the last wild card spot.
Not bad. I'm a little surprised he's picking Toronto, but then again, Toronto was in the World Series, and they've added Dylan Cease, and they added the Japanese slugger. So maybe Toronto is going to be better than I think they're going to be. Toronto's got a lot of age on their pitching staff. That's something I think that would worry me a little bit. And who is Dylan Cease? Dylan Cease going to be what he could be, or what he is? Sometimes hot, sometimes cold. Fascinating.
They have Scherzer now, right?
Oh yeah, but that's the back end of the rotation. Can you?
Well, that's the age that you were talking about.
Yeah, can you give me 4 innings?
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. That guy's still hanging around. Him and DeGrom.
Yeah, and Verlander.
And Verlander. Yeah, those are the other guys that are still hanging on. All those guys are over 40, aren't they?
Yep.
So crazy. But I'm with Casey. I have the Blue Jays and I have the Tigers and I have the Mariners. So I'm the same as Casey here.
Okay. We'll see where it goes. Glad you enjoyed our baseball preview. Next one.
Okay, let's go to Rocket Dog. My man, Hacksaw. Cheers from the great Lake Elsinore, California.
All right. Home of the Padres, California League A team. Glad to have you with us. I don't know if you call that the Inland Empire, but it's been up there.
Oh, definitely.
What a great little minor league ballpark. It's kind of cool, and you get to see some of the young prospects that come through there before they get traded.
Yeah. AJ Preller is going to clean house every once in a while. Okay, let's go to John. He goes, "Hey, it's opening day. Nationals beat the Cubbies. Padres had the jitters, 161 to go."
Yeah, it only counts as one, and as long as Pivetta comes out of this with no shoulder fatigue, etc. I'm going to be intrigued to see how Craig Stammen handles pitch count. because now Michael King goes tomorrow. Now, Michael King, his last start, he pushed it to about 80 pitches, but boy, he got whacked all over the place. And Michael King has shown in a couple of starts he can be Michael King for 3 innings, and then it just goes away. So is Craig Stammen better served just keep a lid on how many pitches you want Pivetta to throw and Michael King to throw so that these shoulder problems don't flare on him? But if you do that, man, then the phone in the bullpen's ringing every night. I mean, they use 4 relievers today?
Yeah.
So,
but those are the guys you put in when you're trailing. What's his name? Marciano?
Ron Marciano.
Yeah. And then, Rodriguez, that guy could be a potential closer.
3 Ks.
I mean, he looked really good, but I just still question, why in the hell is Sheets starting at first? That should be Castellanos, or maybe you put Andujar at first or something. Just having lefties, it's hard enough to hit off at Skubal, and to put a lefty in there to hit off him, it's almost impossible.
Just amazing. First day Craig Stammen as a manager, and John Riley is second-guessing the manager just like that.
Well, it's a brutal first day on the job, I'll tell you what.
It wasn't 15-0, a.k.a. Andy Green versus the Dodgers. That was brutal.
That was ugly.
That was something.
Yeah. Dodger fans still happy about that.
Thanks for being with us.
Okay, Sports Fan says, hey, the main core is the Yes Network.
Yes, not SNY. SNY is the Mets. Yes Network is the New York Yankees. I do stand corrected. That's why they put erasers on pencils.
Okay. All right, let's go here to get some social media guys involved. And how about some Yu Darvish talk? This is from Digo. He goes, I thought Yu Darvish was going to retire and donate his salary back to the Padres. Just to be a good guy.
Well, he stepped back, and he's given him $14 million back. And so he's taken the first step, and this is the second time in his career here that he's gone on the restricted list for different reasons, but has given his salary back. So there's a unique culture over there. He's a very unique, wholesome guy. So credit to him. Now, he's still owed a second and third year on the contract, but he may still want to pitch, but he's going to do all his rehab in Japan. And then we'll find out at the end of the season how that process is proceeding and whether or not he might make an attempt to come back and pitch. But I tend to think no, because he's had 3 elbow procedures now, and I think he's reached the finish line. If that's the case, maybe he'll give all the money back, which that'd be rare.
Well, just so I understand, this year he's on the restricted list and he's not being paid?
Being paid.
Okay, and it still counts as a year in the contract. So he's given up.
He's given up this year.
This year.
He still has 2 years to go after this.
Yeah, I mean, God love him, but I hope he can find a way, but you just can't count on it.
Not after that many surgeries.
No, not at all. But, this is probably a Dodger fan heckling you anyways.
It's okay. I take abuse from everybody.
Okay, let's go here. Some LA talk here from Noah Sinclair. Hey, there's no such thing as a salary cap with the Rams.
Oh, they're talking all things NFL. They're bold. They're really something. This New England Patriot, Philadelphia Eagle, LA Rams triangular trade story, this will not go away. The Rams are extensively pursuing A.J. Brown, and it's going to cost them. I think they're really hassling over what the draft pick should be. Should it be a 1 and Devontae Adams, or should it be a 1 and a 3, or should it be Devontae Adams and something else? Remains to be seen. But the Rams in New England are back in dialogue with Philadelphia for A.J. Brown. And that's a 4-time 1,000-yard receiver. Now, there's issues. There's issues with ego. There's issues with persona. He does yap a lot in the locker room. He does cry to the media. But at the end of the day, God, he's a hell of a player. So I'll be intrigued to see if this domino falls before the draft.
Yeah, we'll find out more. I want to get some more people in here, squeeze everybody in we can. This is from MSA SoCal. Talk about the Lakers. Hey, they're having a brief run in the spotlight, maybe mainly because they are unconscious offensively and are not seeing playoff level defense right now. But they still have no defense themselves, especially with Luka, Reeves, or a 41-year-old LeBron. When it comes down to the playoffs, they're still going to lose, possibly in round 1 or definitely by round 2 to either OKC or the Spurs.
So you're not buying into anything that JJ Redick has to say. That's okay. But in the last 3 weeks, they've beaten 3 clubs that have 40-plus wins. and beating them with their defense and the fact that Luka is playing out of his mind. But last night, they beat Indiana 137-130. I said, how's that possible? Indiana is 16-57. How's that possible? Indiana hit 16 threes. They were unconscious last night. They've had 16 threes all year. So, but the Lakers are in third place, and that means home court advantage. That means staying away from the play-in series. So they finished this thing upbeat. They kind of seem to be hitting on an awful lot of cylinders. Now, you are correct. You're plagiarizing from me, but I won't go tell the professor you're plagiarizing. You get to postseason play, you play good teams. That means you're playing really good defense. So will the Lakers be scoring at the clip they're scoring at when they're playing really good people? You know, I don't compare the Lakers to Oak City right now, but the Lakers did kick the crap out of Denver, and they did beat Minnesota, and they whacked Houston. And all those teams have more than 40 wins.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. You watch a Lakers game, and the dudes, it's like a 3-point shooting contest. There's no defense. And then compare that to what Rick Pitino is doing at St. John's.
Yeah, in your face.
I mean, like a rock fight. I mean, dudes are on people like glue. You don't see any of that kind of defense in the NBA.
Yeah, not at all. So we'll see. I mean, this has been a fascinating 3 weeks. I say, wow, that's not the team that I've seen that gave up all those points the first half of the season and lost to those miserable teams. You obviously don't believe it's for real either. We'll see where it goes. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, let's go here, talk a little Dodgers from JG. Hey, they have the deepest starting rotation in Major League Baseball. Thean and River Ryan are incredible. Robo is very good. Roki has a new pitch. Easy three-peat.
Well, Roki is not polished, and there's something not right. He is not adjusted. His confidence seems shot. He said his ERA is 15.58 in spring training, and he's going to be in the rotation. Does he survive the first inning against Cleveland early next week? I don't know. Are they deep? Yes, but they're also managing the guys that are coming off surgery. River Ryan was sent back to Oklahoma City with a pitch count cap. And they're doing the same thing with a couple of the other young starters. Gavin Stone has just started to throw. Landon Knack is hurt. Bobby Miller has gone on a 60-day DL, so we're not going to see him for a while. They're deep, but they need to manage the young kids that have gone back to Oklahoma City. They're a really good team. That's why I said 102. This guy drank too much coffee this morning. This guy said 110. Now he reeled that statement back in.
That could happen easily.
Could happen, but so it'll be fun. They're really, really good.
I mean, they're so good that River Ryan is in the minors. I mean,
Right.
He'd probably be in almost any team starting rotation.
But that's injury related. They're going to monitor him, slow play that whole thing. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, here's an Angel fan. This is Raul. Hey, the Angels Swiss cheese starting rotation, including Kachanovitz and Ryan Johnson, sure did a great job of shutting out the mighty Dodgers 3-0 in Dodger Stadium.
Okay, it's exhibition play. Kochanowicz has had a really good spring. Now, he got his brains blown out last year, but he threw a lot of innings. He had a 1.98 ERA in the spring. Ryan Johnson, to me, is a real surprise because he's arrived at a much faster rate because he wasn't ready for Major League Baseball, and they forced him last year, and it was terrible. So let's see now that we're into the start of the season. Let's see how these guys hold up when it's real live action fire and it counts in the standings. But, that Kochanowicz had pitched well during his run up through the minor leagues, but he was just overwhelmed, and Johnson didn't belong. And the wild card in this whole thing is we've not heard very much at all about the Bremner kid, the number 1 draft pick from UCSB. He's going to start in the lower minors, maybe Class A or maybe Double A. We'll see how long it takes for him to make some progression up there. So I still think they're really thin. Swiss cheese, yes, still. I mean, just because they won today, you're not ordering World Series tickets. All right, please don't do that.
World Series tickets in Anaheim. Hey, what's your take on this whole thing? They're getting sued to have to change their name again.
Well, that's a long process, and it's tied into the lease at the Big A, and they want the name Anaheim back and already get rid of L.A. And, I think the bigger story is what is it going to be like at Angel Stadium the first home game? Are there fans walking in there wearing trench coats and the first inning starts to open the trench coat and hold up a sign? Artie, sell the team. Or they start to chant that? I mean, I think the atmosphere is really going to be ugly.
Well, if it's a trench coat, hopefully it's only a sign. But I will say this: I'm curious about Kurt Suzuki. I mean, this is his first managerial gig.
Except he was there for 3 years as an assistant in the front office.
Okay.
So he knows a lot of background, players development, etc.
But he's a catcher, you know, and the catchers like Bruce Bochy, you know, they're good managers. So is he going to be a new bright light in the league? I think we're going to find out.
Oh, well, we've got to find out. Does he have enough pitching? That we have to find out that too. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. This is an interesting take from Jeff. He goes, Tony Clark was so well liked, Topps put him on a baseball card set several times over the years.
Well, he was a player. Now you're talking as a union president, they put him on a baseball card. I haven't seen it. I don't collect cards anymore. I still have my baseball cards in the back of my closet.
You do? Good.
Oh my God, from the 1940s and 50s and 60s.
Wow. You might have a couple of gems in there.
I've got some Jackie Robinson card and Ted Williams card and Mickey Mantle card. Hey, I've got some great cards from back when I was a young kid.
It's awesome that you've kept them all these years.
Yeah, it was awesome. My dad didn't throw them out because he threw everything else out that I owned when I was a kid away at college. But now this whole union thing, my oh my, this is going to be a hot button topic. New union chief is just very vocal that we're going to die on the hill. We're not going to allow free agency. So I just hate to think that they would stop the baseball season at the end of this year over this war when baseball is at this point a high point in popularity, demographics, TV ratings, attendance, and revenue. All high points. It's never been like this in history. And why would you stop this?
Yeah. And it's also the scandal that he was involved in too, you know, and just getting removed from his position. You always thought of Tony Clark as a good guy, you know? It's just a shame the way this whole thing has devolved. And this is when the Major League Baseball Players Union really needs them, you know, when they're going into this big negotiation. I mean, so do you think when they do the collective bargaining agreement, they're going to have a hard cap and a hard floor?
That's supposed that they're going to try to propose a cap of 260 and a hard floor of 160 to 180.
Interesting.
And when 160 to 180 means there'll be a lot of money out there that'll be available. But the union says we do not want a hard cap. So somebody's going to have to give some ground there. I think everybody from a baseball knowledge standpoint is of the opinion that a floor to spending, and you put a percentage, the floor has to be 85% of what the top is.
Yeah.
That's what the NFL is.
Yeah.
You know, the NFL hard cap is 301 this year. I think the floor to spending is 280. Everybody's got to spend 280. There's a lot of money for everybody.
Well, we showed the teams that spend very little, and they spend 60, 70, 80.
Yeah.
So they'd have to double or triple their pay to be compliant with that hypothetical floor.
Exactly. But they're getting revenue sharing and more TV contracts, et cetera. So we'll see where it goes. We hope you have enjoyed our opening day podcast and our baseball preview. Love having you part of this podcast. We're here Mondays at 1:30, Thursdays at 1:30. Want you to tell all your friends Hacksaw is back on his own YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating on Apple. It will help us grow a great deal. We'll be back here Monday at 1:30, coming off the first full weekend of baseball, and then we'll be talking about Elite Eight, Final Four, NCAA tournament. John, what a great podcast today, even if you were out in left field sometimes.
The two best months of the year are for sports, March and October. March and October. And we're living the good life right now with March Madness and the beginning of the MLB season.
Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. We'll see you come Monday at 1:30. Thanks as always for being part of our team on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.